Well, Representative Byron Donalds just obliterated CNN after hosts tried lying that Trump DOJ is going to pay out funds to people who harmed police. What's up, everybody? Truth Seeker here. You know, I find it insane that these people cry wolf and they try to say that Trump is the one that's politicizing all these things and everything. And then they totally ignore the Biden administration or the Obama administration, or what even Kamala actually had planned in case she would have won.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
Like, people are just totally ignoring the actual realities of these crucial things here, and it's mind-blowing. But coming in from the Gateway Pundit, it literally says, Representative Byron Donalds absolutely demolished a CNN host who tried to peddle a blatant lie about President Trump's new Department of Justice anti-weaponization fund. The failing fake news networks, still reeling from years of pushing the Russia hoax and defending the Biden regime lawfare against Trump and his supporters, attempted to smear the $1.776 billion IRS settlement fund by claiming it might just hand taxpayer money to January 6 defendants who allegedly harmed police. But Representative Donalds wasn't about to let the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party get away with it. I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip right here.
Well, no, it's more detailed than that. You're just saying yes or no.
No, they're convicted of attacking a police officer.
And let me explain why. Because if the Justice Department official overcharges in that case, or they decide to then go and do other prosecutions for political purposes, and let's be very clear, that is what the Biden Justice Department was doing, then that, in my view, is not following the equal justice under the law, which is the law of the land here in our country. So if under those circumstances, then yes, this fund like this should be utilized.
So you're not ruling this out either, that those convicted of attacking a police officer could be compensated. You're not ruling out that should be a possibility.
Look, I think that's something where that's something where you have to actually watch the operations of this fund and what moves forward. What you're trying to do is make an assertion where it doesn't even exist today. And that's what you're doing. So don't come in with a leading question trying to make an assertion that doesn't exist because you're trying to make it a political question.
No,
let's be fundamentally clear that there have been instances in the history of this country where our government has gone after our people based upon political means. They have overcharged. And it's not even if they brought charges, reckless investigations, trying to bring the abuse of Justice Department officials or other law enforcement officials against the American people. We can talk about what happened with Michael Flynn, the fact that he was persecuted by this government under the phony Russia collusion scandal, which we all know now is fake and phony. What about him? What about the money he had to put out for his attorneys? What about the anguish on his family? These are the real life situations that do happen to the American people. So what I would say is, let's not cheapen it and weaponize it just because we're trying to make a political point. Let's take a step back and understand that we have to have a federal government and a Department of Justice that looks at the law plainly and clearly and does not weaponize it for political means.
Absolutely. And so many people don't even understand what really happened there with Michael Flynn and everything else. Crossfire Hurricane. And so let me bring you up to speed if you're willing to actually listen.
Robert Mueller actually authorizing the scrubbing of vital evidence from disgraced FBI agent Peter Strzok's iPhone. A new Inspector General report is now revealing. I mean, this just keeps getting deeper and deeper, doesn't it? After Mueller's special counsel office reviewed Peter Strzok's text messages, all the evidence was completely just deleted after that. They purged everything. The Mueller team is specifically responsible for the scrubbing of Strzok's phone, while the explanation for Page's phone is a bit more muddied. More and more details are pouring out about the underhanded conspiracy to damage and impeach President Donald Trump by Obama operative John Brennan, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Sally Yates, and a few others. The effort even has a special codename, Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Now, I spoke about Operation Crossfire Hurricane, I think it was about a month or two ago. And this was all about the deep state's coup that was 100% plotted as a Plan B effort if Hillary lost the election. I mean, they literally already started work on this before Trump was even the president. It was a Plan B that they had set, and we've seen it in operation. And boy, was it obvious to any average American, or hell, anyone in the world that was watching this. But they used Peter Strzok as their go-to guy, which is why their operation is now falling apart. Strzok's massive illegal activities and incompetence could open up the entire Crossfire Hurricane team to numerous federal charges. Both John Brennan and James Comey used Peter Strzok to damage President Donald Trump. Strzok is the disgraced FBI agent and fired Robert Mueller team member whose text messages with Mistress Lisa Page formed the biggest scandal in FBI history. The lovers conspired to illegally bring down Trump, all while the FBI was spying on the Trump campaign. Strzok interviewed Hillary Clinton without putting her under oath and granted immunity to Cheryl Mills and Clinton's other associates right before he flew to London to meet with Christopher Steele to work on the anti-Trump dossier, which was sponsored by the Clinton-funded firm Fusion GPS. That dossier was used to fraudulently obtain FISA warrants to surveil Trump Tower. Barack Obama reads bits of the dossier in his daily presidential briefings, courtesy of Brennan. Fusion GPS, meanwhile, sent operatives into Trump Tower to entrap Don Jr. and Jared Kushner in a meeting with Planet Russians. When it was time for the conspirators to focus on the Trump campaign advisor, George Papadopoulos, Strzok was there to run information about the advisor to the Australians. When it was time to take out Trump's national security advisor, General Michael Flynn, Strzok was there to stage an ambush interrogation of Flynn without Flynn's lawyer present. So let's walk through Strzok's amazing Zelig-like role in every facet of Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Brennan hired Strzok to write the intelligence community assessment in January 2017. This was an official document used to spur on Robert Mueller's investigation, but the document did not actually find any evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. It merely said that Vladimir Putin aspired to help Trump and that Russia developed a clear preference for Trump. The Christopher Steele dossier was added in an appendix to the ICA report, even though Brennan lied and told Congress that it was never used. Comey sent Strzok to London to meet with the Australian about George Papadopoulos. George Papadopoulos was surveilled in real time by the FBI, who set him up. So who set him up? Peter Strzok, whose meeting with the Australian ambassador in London provided key basis for the creation of Robert Mueller's investigation, according to none other than the New York Times. Tyler Durden explains, the FBI sent counterintelligence agents, one of whom was Peter Strzok, to London in the summer of 2016 to meet with Australian Ambassador Alexander Downer to describe his meeting with Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. The meeting with Downer was described as highly unusual and helped provide the foundation for a case that, a year ago, Thursday, became the special counsel's investigation. The FBI kept details of the operation secret from most of the DOJ, with only about 5 Justice Department officials aware of the full scope of the case. Strzok cleared Hillary Clinton right before he left for London. According to Big Leagues Politics, it called attention in July of 2017 to the fact that Strzok was serving on the Mueller team after personally overseeing the Hillary Clinton email investigation at the FBI and personally conducting the interview with Hillary Clinton that was not under oath, which led to no incarceration for the Democrat candidate. Strzok also withheld information about the Hillary case from Congress, according to this text. As you can see circled right here, it says, "Thing is, there are very inflammatory things in the 302s we didn't turn over to Congress because they weren't relevant to understanding the focus of the investigation." With the pressure on, Strzok's wife, Melissa Hodgman, Associate Director of the Enforcement Division of the Securities and Exchange Commission, is scrubbing her Obama and Clinton links. Hodgman was promoted by Obama just 2 weeks before FBI Director James Comey reopened the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email scandal in 2016, leading political insiders to suspect that Hodgman might have been involved in the federal government's cover-up. Some of the liked pages on her Facebook account on December 3rd included, "Thank you, Obama, and we voted for Hillary." It was right after that Peter Strzok set up Michael Flynn. On January 24, 2017, Peter Strzok interviewed General Michael Flynn inside the White House alongside another agent. Flynn's lawyer was not present. Flynn apparently did not tell the White House about his meeting. Guess who did? Sally Yates, the anti-Trump Deputy Attorney General, whose underlining told the FBI to shut down the Clinton Foundation case. Yates informed the White House on January 26 that Flynn met with the FBI. That was the beginning of the end for the original Trump White House. Strzok was close personal friends with the Foreign Intelligence Judge Rudolph Contreras, who accepted General Flynn's guilty plea. Contreras recused himself after he already accepted Flynn's guilty plea. How does that work? Strzok and Page detailed their plan to meet the Contreras in a July 25, 2016 series of texts. It reads right here, Page said, "Rudy is on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. Did you know that? Just appointed 2 months ago." Strzok replied, "I did. I need to get together with him." Page replied back, said he gotten on a month or two ago at a graduation party we were both at. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's just right there in black and white. Strzok and Page's text revealed their anti-Trump plot right off the bat. It was well known that Strzok and Page discussed their anti-Trump conspiracy many thousands of times over text messages that have been mostly released. The lovers' repeated references to the CF refer to Crossfire Hurricane. Clapper tried to use the Supreme Court to block Trump's inauguration. In January, as Brennan was having Strzok write the fraudulent ICA report, Brennan's partner in crime, Obama, Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, was cooking up his own side plot to stop the Trump inauguration from happening. Clapper held a meeting in his office in January 2017 to discuss using a female Supreme Court justice to block Trump from becoming president due to the Russia conspiracy. A high-level member of the Intelligence Committee who witnessed this meeting said that Clapper discussed going to one of 3 female Supreme Court justices to make the case that alleged Russia interference could invalidate Trump's claim to the presidency. Another text the witness sent to BLP's source around the same time described how Deep State was making General Michael Flynn a rising target for his alleged involvement with Russians and stating that the House Speaker Paul Ryan is a wild card in the Deep State wars. I mean, this is too obvious to everybody. Brennan plotted for years to get Trump, starting with a fly-by-night operation in Reno. A whistleblower case currently in federal court in Washington, D.C. stands to bring out incredible allegations of John Brennan and James Clapper's move against Trump, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, and the former presiding judge of the FISA court, Reggie Walton. Real estate mogul Timothy Blyseth admitted that he saw records from CIA and NSA whistleblowers Dennis Montgomery proving that Clapper and Obama, CIA Director John Brennan, oversaw repeated spying on the phone calls of President Donald Trump and millions of other private American citizens, including Supreme Court Justice John Roberts and FISA Court Judge Reggie Walton. Fired former FBI Director James Comey received evidence from whistleblower's lawyer but sat on it. In an audio-taped interview conducted before Trump ever ran for president, Blyseth spoke to a former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio and Detective Mike Zulu. The audio was released in connection with the civil contempt case that the Department of Justice filed against Arpaio.
Software company, you don't get the alimony. She refused to. Turns out she has a partner named Dennis Lee Montgomery. That's the name you got to remember.
Easy to remember.
He's very.
I'll sit down with you after. I don't want to try to follow.
He's a very genius computer guy. What they did is they were working for the CIA, and they masked it as I'm sure you'll remember this. The contracts with the CIA, which I had plenty of copies, said that they were decoding Al Jazeera television, said that there was broadcast embedded. Remember that?
Yeah. Owned by Gore.
Well, Gore's got part of it now, but it's all bullshit. Right. That was bullshit. That was a front by the CIA. And this guy worked for Brennan and Clapper. Those were the 2 guys running it. He started out in 2004 with another partner in Reno, Nevada, called Intrepid. They collected about $40 million from the CIA. Top security clearance, all kinds of letters, emails, fallout. Gets to my wife in 2006. They started a new company that she owns, and they started doing the same business for the government. What it really turns out they were doing is they were hacking into all of America. Everything they said they didn't do that Brennan said recently, and mainly Clapper, is all bullshit. And I've got it right here. And every time we took his deposition, the head of the civil division, Carlotta Wells, of the Department of Justice would show up with CIA agents. Just show up. Every court appearance. CIA agents. Head of the civil division. I said, Jesus Christ, something's got to be wrong here. So in 2006, when my wife got together with the guy, but he left the first company, he gets a call from a CIA guy named Joe Liberatore and says, the FBI is going to raid your house in 3 days. They just got a FISA search warrant from the FISA court. So he takes all the hard drives that he made copies of. FBI comes in, raid him. Mike Flynn, the lawyer who's here with me, was representing the guy at the time. They go to court, federal judge says, this is bullshit, throws it out, says, there's obviously something here that we don't know about. He says, you guys are right. I did hack into all your stuff. And I gave it to your ex-wife and all the lawyers. And he said, there's a lot more. He said, what I really did as a government subcontractor was I hacked into all of America for Brennan and Clapper. And I said, wow, that's pretty heavy stuff. Can you prove it? So it's taken me 8 months of dancing with this guy. And finally, he starts giving more evidence, and then it just blew me away. The guy had aneurysm surgery in the last 3 months. It was not successful. He probably will not live. So I think what it is, he wants to 10 years under, 8 years under a rock. He's tired of it. He may not live. He wants to get his life squared away. And he's pissed off at the administration. He got a death threat in writing last week. And so I said to him, when the Snowden thing came down, he starts laughing to me. He goes, Snowden is a punk. He doesn't have any information like I've got. So he starts showing me what he has. And I'm going, holy shit. He's got 900 million phone calls recorded. I mean, you call me, how long, what date, what time of day. Okay, that's one thing. I did it for the government. This is on a government computer, paid for by the government, the CIA, at Fort Washington, Maryland, which is 10530 Riverview Road in Fort Washington, Maryland. Then he's got bank accounts with the passwords and the usernames that the government got, just randomly all over the country. There's 153,000 in this county alone. 153,000 people were hacked in by Brennan and Clapper. So my ex-wife asked Jack Kent to go to Cheney to try and speed up a new government contract, which was slow. So they take her to the vice president. He says, give me a few days, comes back and he says, we don't want any part of this, and they fire Brennan. So they must have figured something was skunky. So they fired Brennan. Brennan goes to work as the CEO of Analysis Group in Washington, D.C. They're basically ex-CIA guys that do contracting for the government. Private version of their old job. So he goes to Obama, then Senator, and says, you should hire us in that Analysis Group to run for president. Obama does. Pay him tons of money, millions of dollars. And if you may not recall this, Joe, but there was a little bit of a flap about the birth certificate back then. There was an accusation that someone had gotten into the birth certificate records of Hillary Clinton, Mitt Romney, and Obama.
Hillary talked about it.
Yeah, okay. She really raised a big deal of it. There was a young man working for Brennan at the CIA that came over to Analysis Group. And he was kind of the dirty computer kid. I don't know that, I'll tell you what I know factual and what I believe to be true. We believe that they got in and actually altered his birth certificate. Brennan did at an analysis group, and they had to disguise it by doing something or looking like they did something to Clinton and Romney, so it wasn't specific to Obama. Somehow this word got around in D.C., and an investigation started, and they called the kid as a witness. He got a bullet between the eyes the night before the hearing. It's all public record. So he's dead. He can't testify.
Now, if you want to hear the whole entire audio, it's like 19 minutes long. I got the link to this article in the description below. You can just go there and you can actually play the whole entire thing. But this is stuff that the mainstream keeps trying to cover up. And it's pretty shameful that they actually call themselves news networks. Big League Politics called the listed number for Intrepid Technology, but we're told that Montgomery no longer works there. That company closed down years ago, sir, a representative said of Intrepid Technologies. When asked what the company is called now, the representative said, "I'm sorry, I can't discuss anymore with you." Lyseth claimed in his conversation with Zulu and Arpaio that Brennan and Clapper were running the operation. Everything they said they didn't do, that Brennan said recently, mainly Clapper, it's all BS, and I've got it right here. On the explosive tapes, Lyseth walks Arpaio and Zulu through the details of the program on a computer screen. At one point, the three begin pulling up specific names of targeted individuals. You know who that guy is? That's the head of the FISA court they hacked into, Reggie Walton, Lyseth tells the investigators. John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was hacked. Lyseth tells Arpaio and Zulu. Insiders have always been skeptical of Roberts' motives for siding with President Obama on Obamacare. I mean, literally, the deep state is right there in plain sight. Everybody in the world can see it. A caveman can recognize it. We all see the coup attempt that's actually happening, and we knew who plotted this. Like, the same people that bark the loudest are usually the most guiltiest, and look at all the ones that used to blast on Twitter. John Brennan was one of them. James Comey was one of them. But this 100% was Plan B if Hillary lost the election of what they were supposed to do. And they was already working on it before Donald Trump even became the president. And this was all done under Obama's watch. Obama knew every single bit of detail of what was going on, and he authorized this. But all of the deep state's days are numbered. So we got a lot of sealed indictments that haven't even been revealed yet that's going to actually drag in a lot of these characters because there's so much evidence on these people it's not even funny. Well, they sit there and pretend on CNN and everything else that they're not the bad guys and Trump's the bad guy. Like, I don't understand their projection scheme. It just doesn't seem to work on anybody but sheep, I guess. But they sit there and act like there's nothing that they're doing wrong. There's nothing that Hillary did wrong. And they're sitting there trying to call everybody crazy for even thinking that there was something that was wrong. And this is going off the expression of if you tell a lie enough, people will start believing it. And it seems like the only people that believe it are their own kind. Because everybody else that actually has a brain is red-pilled on this. They can see right through all this smokescreen. And the evidence is stacking up high on these characters. So we are going to see some action. It is coming up. And boy, is it going to be a doozy. But what do you guys think about all this? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.